Hey guys, it's Ryan with My Listing Club. In this video, we'll be continuing on with the educational series, How to Build an Online Business with the MyListing WordPress theme. As we've done throughout this series, we'll be using the MyListing project template as our guide. The project template can be found by going to the MyListing Club website at mylisting.club, which you see here on my screen, and scrolling down the homepage just a bit and clicking on the MyListing project template card. This product page is going to walk you through what this template is all about. In this video, you're also going to get a first-hand look at this template behind the scenes. And throughout this video series, I've covered it and shown it to you as we've gone along. So if you go back to the very first video, you'll see the template in its entirety. Okay, this just walks you through what, like I said, like what's included in the template. There's a walkthrough video. So you might want to check that out. And then at the bottom, there's a change log. So I keep a log of all the changes that I make to this thing that are significant enough to mention. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll close this down. But before I do that, you can get your hands on this template as a one-off purchase by just clicking the Buy Now button that you see on the screen. If you purchase a starter site from me, I'm going to include a copy of this automatically. If you want my ongoing changes to this template, so like I said here in as you see in the change log, as I come up with stuff, if you want access to those on an ongoing basis with unlimited downloads of that template, then you have to sign up to be an Ultimate Club member or be in my care plan. Okay, let's go ahead and close this down. And now we are at the big show here, what I call the big show. We're at the point where it's time to build our listing types. So we've been building up to this for quite a while now. As we work through this My Listing column, as we see here on my screen. As I've said throughout this video series, when you work with this project template, you work top down, left to right. So if you follow that path, this template is going to guide you for building a My Listing website from beginning to end. And it's not just My Listing. It's got a lot of business tips, business setup instructions. Anybody that runs an online business, this is for you. Okay? So looking at the My Listing column, we have now we've hit what's showing our final 4 cards, but that's not going to be the case because I'm going to build this out even more to capture other things like some of the pages, as you see here, like the Add Listing page, Explore page, and that type of thing. But we're now at the really heavy hitter, which is the listing types, and we'll also get to global listing type. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move this to my other screen. All right, so now we're looking at the back end of my little test site, my sandbox site. After every video, before the next video, I basically just wipe the site so we can start clean and see what that looks like with a core set of plugins in there. So we're starting essentially from scratch here, and we're going to do this together live, okay? I may miss some things. Hopefully I don't, but there's just a lot to these listing types. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into that. I'm just waiting for my screen to populate here over on my other screen. Okay, so if you have this project template, what I recommend doing, unless you are 100% sure that you are only going to have one listing type, duplicate the listing type task. Here, so let me go ahead and pull this over again for you. So go ahead and duplicate this task. If you have Asana, it's really easy. You just click on the task card and duplicate it. Whatever project management tool you use and you import this template in, you should be able to easily duplicate the task. That way you have you always have that template in place, that task template in place. The other thing too is if you're an Ultimate Club member or a Care Plan client, and you just need another copy, then you can get it of the whole template. You can get that. But regardless of all of that, I recommend always duplicating this task card. And I also mentioned that for the other things like the taxonomies, like the categories, tags, regions, custom taxonomies, that sort of thing. Duplicate the task before you use it. Okay. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get started here. So in the dashboard, like I said, go to listing types and then add new. I also want to mention that if you have the project template, there's a link. It's going to automatically link you to the listing types that I've created over the years. Let's go ahead and paste that in here. So you can go here and download a pre-made listing type if you want, based off the particular starter site that it was created for. So I'm going to give you you'll have a link to, so if you click into Reach, for example, it's going to give you a link to the actual starter site. You can do like a live preview and see what that listing type is going to look like, okay, before you pull it in. So then you just download it, and then here in the listing type, you see this config box on the right hand side. Just import that config file that you download from the club, and then you're going to be off to the races. Okay. We're not going to do that for this video because I want us to build one together from scratch. Okay, so let's just start from the top. Let me actually go here. I believe I created a couple. Yeah, I created some dummy listing types. Let me get rid of these. Let me also get rid of the dummy listings in here. Okay, let's see what we have for categories. Okay, those can stay. Those can stay. Yeah, okay, good to go. All right, so let's go back to our listing type. We're just gonna give it a title. I've got an upcoming starter site called Fit, so let's just do that together. So let's do a gym, like a fitness gym. So we're gonna just name it gym, and you can upload a custom image if you want for your own kind of font, or just an image in general, an image font. We're just going to do icon font. Sometimes I don't even put a font or an icon in here at all, but let's just say we're going to do it for this video. So let's type in gym, nothing comes up. How about weights? No, not really. Let's do fitness, nothing. Maybe let's do built. For the sake of this video, we'll do building, I guess. Yeah, that doesn't look like a gym. Barbell, fitness, run. Okay, let's just do run. We'll call this, we'll just do the running icon for gym, whatever, it's fine. And then same thing here. You can actually hit publish on this. That's going to populate some of this stuff for us. So singular name it's still going to want, and then plural name. So gyms would be the plural name. One thing I wanted to point out is that right here on the right hand side, you're going to start to see these revisions come in. I have a guide on how to knock these down. I recommend, before you even get started with these, to knock down your listing types, meaning don't save them at all, or at least when you're first starting out building your listing type from scratch, maybe knock these down to 3 revisions only. Because what MyListing is going to do is store 15 revisions of your listing type. So every little change you make here. So we got 1 revision there. Let's click update. There's 2. Every little thing I change here. Let's take this little runner guy out. There's 3. So it's just going to build up to that 15, and all of this is being stored in your database. The other thing I like to mention about these is the rollback. I very rarely ever see it work, especially when there's lots of data in there. So right now we don't have a lot of data in there, so there's nothing really to roll back to. But if you've been building these over a month or months of time and they're really built out, I rarely ever see the rollback feature work. And the only reason I even did that or noticed that was just because I was testing it to see how good it worked. But I found out that it rarely works. The other issue with that is, as you can see, there's no notes here. So there's no way that you know what these revisions even entail. Even if it's 10 minutes ago, 10 seconds ago, you may not remember what it is that you did from time to time. So if you are interested in revisions, I recommend instead you use the export config file. Click that button. It's going to download it. Then you can open that file open the location of that file, depending on your browser. And then you can, sorry, I'm trying to bring my screen over here. And then you can name this to something that's meaningful. Gym, config, what time of day you did it, 9 a.m., blah, 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 added. Let's just say that for this particular config you did fields. Okay, so this is a backup of all the field work that we did. Okay, so that's the way that I would do it instead. You could also keep a spreadsheet that has, just references the file name and then all of the changelog that you've done. Okay, that's another option. And then that way, when if and when you ever do need to import back in, you just use this import config file option and then grab that file and you're back. And then that keeps all of those revisions out of your database. Okay, just something to think about there. Like I like to say, is every little bit of performance help you can give your site, the better. I'll go ahead and just put this little guy here on there for the icon. All right, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. It's not important right this second, but I want to mention the slug. So a lot of people, like if you get the demo, for example, from MyListing, or you inherit a site or whatever, a lot of times people will go in here and they'll rename the listing type to whatever, and they don't realize that when you do that, you're going to break some things. Not really, you won't break some things by just renaming this, but it won't be consistent, is what I'm trying to say. So let's say we created it, it was called gyms. Now let's say we called it club. Let's say we called it a club, and we update. If we were to expose the slug, so if there's the screen options up here in the top right, let's expose that and tick this slug thing on here. So you see here, when we created it, the slug auto-generates. Just like when you create a post or a page, the slug is going to auto-generate. But now we've renamed it to club, but the slug is still going to be gem. Okay? Once you rename this slug here, let's say to match club, just say that you want to do that, then you're going to break some things. You're going to break the add listing page. You're going to break your explore page. It breaks in a few spots. So that's something to keep in mind. So let's go ahead and put this back to gem and clear this out and just click update here. So yeah, so if you're creating a listing type from scratch, chances are you're not gonna have to worry about this. But just remind yourself, remember that this is underneath there, and you got to update the slug if you change the name of your listing types, or you should anyway, because it's going to look weird to the user. Okay, so we've got our listing type name, our slug is auto-generated, we've got our icon, all of our other stuff. I'll assume you've knocked down your revisions. Let's see what else here. Default logo, optional. So this is a really nice thing. If you're, depending on how you're building out your site, if you're not gonna allow the logo field, then you could use the default logo option and add a consistent branding across your whole site. And even if you are going to add the logo field, so listing owners can upload their logo, what if they don't? It's nice to assign some sort of a logo to these listings, okay? The same concept with cover images. Yeah, I don't even need to repeat it. So it's the same concept if you want to add the cover image, okay? We've got the icon we covered. We covered the singular name, the plural name. I'm literally running through the checklist of the project template. This is why I built this thing, so no steps are missed. The permalinks optional. You should never have to mess with that. It just kind of is what it is. Like I said, let's change this to club. Let's leave slug exposed. Update. So we see the permalink down there. That is coming from this slug here. So if we change this to club, we see the permalink changes. So you shouldn't have to change. You should never have to change that. Okay, we'll just leave that at club for now. Structured data. Where do I have that under? That is under general. schema. Yeah, I think I need to update this. It looks like some stuff has moved. Yeah, stuff has moved. Or maybe it always was there and I just missed documenting. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that got moved at some point. I didn't remember, but I'll go ahead and update that. No, I think it's fine. I think I documented it right. I just wasn't very specific that it went under schema. So it's still general. No, I am wrong about that. Sorry, I'm just waffling back and forth on this, guys. Okay, I'll update that. It's not super important for this video, but it is under schema. And this is more of an advanced topic that I'm not really going to dive into for this video. But for SEO, this is basically telling the search engine bots what your page is about, which in this case is what are your listings about. Those bots have no idea, like they don't look at the front end of your website. They don't know what these listings are. So they need this data to really understand the listing when they crawl your site, what it's about, what it entails. So that's what this is for. And you can manually go in here. This, like I said, this is more advanced, but you can go in here and set your schema. You can also use a plugin like SEO Press, which really lets you get into the schema even more and even get into using AI, so auto-generating the schema. You can set that up. I have a partnership with SEO Press, and they are very familiar with the MyListing theme. So if you happen to use the club's discount to get SEO Press, or you're just using SEO Press, their team is great. Mention you're using the MyListing theme and you need help with something. Schema is one of those things that they can help with, and they've got a couple guides too on this. All right, what else? Let's go back up here. We covered the permalinks, structured data, advanced. So I'm wondering if some of this changed, or if I'm just. Yeah, I think some of this changed, and I just need to update it. Advanced global listing type. Yeah, some of the stuff moved. Okay, I'll update it. We're going to get into the global listing type later, so I'm going to skip this one for now. Well, actually, no. Let's cover that now. Let's knock that down, so we don't have to circle back. Okay, so what is a global listing type? It serves one purpose, which is to provide searching and filtering across all listing types on your website. And there are two areas where you can take advantage of this. Your Explore page that has the Explore Listings widget on it, the Elementor widget from 27 Collective, and the other another Elementor widget, the 27 Collective map widget. Those are the two widgets where that comes into play, the searching and filtering across all listing types. This listing type is just like the regular listing types, but there are some key differences though. But fundamentally, it's all it's the same underneath. The global listing type must include the same fields as the regular listing types that you want to be able to search and filter on. So, for example, if you want the global listing type to be able to search and filter on the category field must be present in the regular listing type and the global listing type as well. Okay? So let's say that, let's just call this, we'll circle back here, we'll call this global listing type. I'm going to clear out my slug so that it auto-generates. I'm just going to remove the icon here. I'll just put in global listing type. Click update here. Okay, cool. So we've got that in there. So let's go ahead and do another listing type. Let's do this one. Let's just start from scratch and create our gem again. So gem, we don't need to mess with the slug, like I said. You only need to expose that. if you only need to expose that when you need to expose it, which is to fix it or like you inherit a site or all those other things that I mentioned. But we're just going to unexpose that. We're going to hide that for now. All right, let's drop an icon in here. We'll put this guy back in. Singular name is Jim. Plural name is Jims. And publish. So, like I said, if you have to have the same fields in the regular listing type, which is what we're looking at here, and the global listing type, which is right here. So let's actually create another one. Add listing type. Let's call this one Coach. We'll just put the same icon for now. Coach. Coaches. And publish. Okay, so we add a field, and let's say that field is a category. So we add the category field. And this listing type has a category field. Now, if you want to search across both of these listing types from one single listing type, you go into the global listing type, go to your fields, add that same field in there. And just like that, you've now potentially eliminated the need to use both of these listing types in those two areas that I said, which is the Explore Listings page and then any page where you have the 27 map widget, okay? So let's focus on the Explore page for now. That's used way more often than that other widget. So if we go to our pages, go to our Explore page, edit the widget. You can't really see it in here, but you can either use the Elementor Navigator or just click into it. We see here that we have no listing types. So what you can do, instead of choosing Coach and Jim, which exposes that categories option, what you can do instead to keep your listing type clean, or your Explore page clean, is just specify your global listing type. And you're done, okay? So that is one reason why you might want to use a global listing type, just to keep that Explorer page clean. Every project is different. It's hard to say if you should use a global listing type or not. It does create a little bit more work, not a ton. But yeah, something to keep in mind there. So like I said, if you go back in and you add, let's say, a phone number field, and then you add a phone number field to this listing type, you don't need to go back to the global listing type and add a phone number field, because people aren't searching by phone numbers. So that wouldn't apply. It only applies to things that you want people to be able to search and filter on, okay? Back to the key differences. You cannot and should not use more than one listing type. So just create the one global listing type, and that's it. And then, so here under General, and then Other, you're going to toggle this on. That enables this as your global listing type. That's it. Don't create any more. Just stop at that one, okay? The global listing type's only purpose is to provide search and filtering functionality, like I said. You should not use the global listing type for the add listing form process. So let's go ahead and look at that page. Let me see if I have my form in here, and I do. So this is what it looks like. This is what it's going to look like when you build your add listing page. What I'm saying here is do not choose this. That you cannot choose that, okay? But here we can choose like our Coach and our Gym, okay? So that's cool to set it up that way. And while I'm on this, let me talk about that slug. Let me show you that slug issue again. So let's say that you renamed Coach, or let's say you broke the slug somehow for Coach. You went in here. I've seen people do this. You just go in here and you just name it willy-nilly, like whatever you want. So we renamed this one let's just call it coaches. Maybe someone thinks that you need to go in here and make this plural instead of, making this plural. Okay. So now they've broken the slug. All links, everything are going to be broken for that listing type. So if we go back to the Explorer page, the add listing page first, and we refresh this, we're going to see coach drop out of here because it's broke. There it goes. So it's gone. So if you were to edit that widget again, you just need to go back into coach and you need to reassign it so that it matches up. Now it's back. The same with the Explorer page. We're going to see, we would have seen. Let me add these back. Okay, so we see here how it's broke. So Jim is fine. We just need to go back in here and specify coach again to sync those back up. Okay. So that's about it. I'm trying to think what else I could say about the global listing type. Maybe we talk about when we might want to use them. In my opinion, the main reason would be to simplify the look of your Explorer pages. Or anywhere else you're using the Explore widget. So like I said, let's say you were using instead of the drop down, let's just look at the drop down first actually. So here's the drop down. You've got listing type. Let's look at this on the front end here. So for the listing type, that's the template we've chosen here in our Explore page. Display listing types as drop down. So if we click the drop down, we see both of those in there. But look what happens if we change this. Oh, sorry. Let me show you one more thing here. So let's put that back. Let's put Jim and coaches back. Let's change this to the nav bar. So there you go. So now we have that nav bar in there. But now if we were to set this to just our global listing type, so we have that nav bar now, and once we refresh, that nav bar is no longer needed because we are searching across all the listings. Okay, so that's not needed. So that's what I mean by it cleans things up a bit in there. Okay, so what would happen if we were to change this from nav bar to drop down? Same thing. So that's what I mean by keeping it clean. Okay. What I like to do for my sites is to create a separate Explore page for each listing type for performance reasons. You don't need to do this right away if you're just starting out, but if you get a MyListing site that becomes really popular and lots of users are on the website concurrently, meaning the same time, you want that performance to be as fast as possible. So I use separate Explore pages for each listing type. And then when you do that, obviously the global listing type doesn't come into play, but it still stays, your Explore page still stays really clean because you don't need that drop down anymore and you don't need the nav bar there either. So just something else to keep in mind. So let's say you had 10 listing types rather than display all 10 listing types across the Explore page in the navigation bar or all 10 listing types in the drop down. That's where the global listing type would be awesome. So maybe you have an Explore page called Explore All, and then you just drop the listing type, the global listing type in there. Okay, so that is global listing types. It is, I know when I first started with MyListing, it was like, what is this thing? Like it was confusing. But once you really just dumb it down to what its purpose is, and that's search and filtering, it makes it easier to understand what it's there for. Okay, hope that makes sense and it helps. Let's go back to our regular listing types here. Let's see where I left off. We talked about the global listing type, structured data. Okay, let's see if there's anything else under general. All right, so I think we can talk about packages now. So these are, if you do nothing here, it's automatically going to pull from your listing products. So if we go to products, let's create a product. Listing subscription 1. We're going to change this to listing subscription. And for this to happen, you have to have the WooCommerce subscriptions plugin. I talked about that in a previous video, but that's how that is unlocked. You could also choose the listing package here that's built into MyListing by default. So we're just going to go with the listing subscription here. Actually, I'll call this basic. And if you ever need to clear out the slug, just click this edit button and just clear it out and click OK. And then that'll sync those two up. Okay, so for our basic, we're just going to say this is a free subscription and then publish. I'm going to create a new one for the different levels. You can also duplicate products too using WooCommerce. Just go into your products and use the duplicate feature. All right, and I'm going to do one more. Publish. Okay, so now we've got our 3 listing subscription products. And if we refresh this listing type and go to packages, we see those are populated in here. So by default, these 3 packages are going to be assigned to all of your listing types. Okay, so if I refresh this listing type, if I refresh, you'll see that it applies there too. Okay, so there they are. So if we go back then to our add listing page, let's refresh this. Okay, we've got both of those in there. That's good. Let's go ahead and update this. Let's go to our add listing page on the front end. Click on one of the listing types. So here's our packages coming in automatically. We didn't have to do anything other than create the products, okay? And this is fine. These are listed in order. That is good stuff. So there's really nothing else you need to do here as long as those packages are to be assigned across all of your listing types. But what if you want separate? So for that, we could go back into our products. And let's say we could duplicate this one. Let's call this business gym. So this will be just for the gym listing type. Clear out that slug, click OK. And we'll just pretend like we've made different parameters here, like maybe the price is different, or maybe the number of listings is different, or maybe it's can be used for a claim, whatever. Let's just pretend that we've made those changes, right? So let's publish that. Now if you go into the gym listing type, let's refresh this. We see that package there, right? So if we want to assign that specific product, we have to untoggle this. Oh, sorry, my bad. We have to drag this over, click this, add that in there. So what that's going to do is add this product, but it's going to remove those other default ones. So let's update this. Oh, sorry, that was coaches. Well, that's a good thing to look at. So see, if you don't do that, it's going to add, that gym package to coaches because the coaches are using all of the products by default. Sorry. So let's go back into our add listing page and choose gym this time. So now that we've done that, we see only the package that we've assigned to the specific listing type, which is the gym listing type. And then you can go in here and you can create your other two products, go back into the gym listing type, into the package tab, and then add those right here. Okay, so that's what that is for. You can also create a product from clicking on this button. It's just going to redirect you. Okay. Reviews. I'm trying to think about. Bear with me for a second on these. I'm trying to just check my notes and make sure I'm doing these in order, so I know to change these after our video. Okay, yeah. So I'm not missing anything here. That's good. So reviews are what they are, what it sounds like. It's the reviews of the listings. So, do you want to allow them? And if so, are you going to allow people to upload images to help bolster their reviews? So like if someone ate at a restaurant, should they be able to upload gallery images to support their review, like show photos of their family or the food that they ate or whatever? That's what that's for. The star ratings are pretty self-explanatory. And then do you want to allow full stars or half stars? That's also pretty self-explanatory. And then the rating category. So you could keep the default your rating, and then you could add others like cleanliness. How clean was the restaurant? So they could review based on that. Sorry, I misspelled that. Let's do value. You could do like what was the value, the price versus the food that you got. Well, I guess we're in a gym right now, so cleanliness would have been a good one. But value works too. So what's the value for the money? The gym membership cost versus what you get in return. And you can add, a few of these in here, whatever you need. But these are the things that you are allowing the user of your site, the visitor of your site, to be able to do the reviews for these listings. Expiry rules. Typically, you don't need to mess with these, but if you do, there are some things that you can do here. But like I said, typically you don't need to mess with any of this stuff. Schema I mentioned, and then other, we covered that, which is the global listing type. All right, let's jump over to fields. And let me think about what we want to cover here. The title's in there by default. Yeah, we'll just work down through these. So description is a very popular one. That's just the the about section or the description section of the listing. Pretty self-explanatory there. Placeholders. Let me pull up one of my starter sites here. Probably better just to show you. Bear with me just a second, please, and I will pull this up. So this is one of the listings from one of my starter sites, and so let's just recreate this. That could be fun. So right across the top here, we've got the gallery. We've got a three photo gallery showing. So let's do that. That'd be fun. Let's just recreate this. All right, we're going to add a new listing type here. We're going to call this hotel, and we'll put a building icon on here. Hotels. The packages are fine. We're just going to use the basic, premium, business. I want to specify these three specifically because we don't want the gym package doesn't apply to this. So those are our package. Reviews, we'll go ahead and allow gallery upload. Just remember, if you allow gallery upload, I really recommend that you see my guides and stuff on image governance. Otherwise, people are going to be able to upload giant photos to your website. Creates a bad user experience, fills up your disk space, all kinds of negative things. So really look at that. And then obviously an image optimization plugin. We're just going to do full stars. We're going to put in, let's look and see what I have here actually. So if I click reviews, let me get logged in here. All right, let's go back here. Let's go back to our reviews. Okay, so you see here, overall rating. There's a few that I added in here, and so that's what we do here. So you can change. I changed your rating to overall rating. I thought that made more sense. Value, and so on and so forth. So that's good enough for now. Expiry rules, like I said, didn't touch that. Schema, different. That's more advanced topic for another day. Let's go ahead and publish this for now, so we have it saved. Looking top to bottom here. So like I said, we've got the gallery across the top. For that, we go in. We have to add. You have to give the users the ability to add that gallery. So for that, we drop down and we do the gallery images. And within the gallery images, depending on the package, this could get a little complex, but here you define how many images can be in their gallery. So if we say 3, for example, and that would be for everybody, right? And then a placeholder. I like to put something in there. Let me do this. I am signed in. Let me on my other screen, I'm going to log in as an admin. So again, bear with me a second here. Because I do think it's important to show you this stuff. And I'll just do a copy and paste over into this screen so you can see what I've done. So I actually created a section in here using the form heading field. So drop that in there, and I call this, you can call this whatever you want, but I call it media, and change the icon to something, like a camera or something like that. And I like to put the any fields that relate to media underneath there. So it kind of groups them together and makes them look really nice on the ad listing form. So we've got that in there. We've got our gallery field. We're specifying 3 maximum image uploads. The other thing I do is put a placeholder in here. And I say something like, your image gallery also serves as your listing cover image, which we'll get into here in a second. So your images should be high quality to make the best impression. If gallery images are not added, we will supply a default cover image. So remember when I showed you this default cover image right here? That's where this comes into play. We will apply a default cover image with our branding. Puts some HTML in there to break a couple lines, and then bolds the word guidelines, and then it says upload up to 6 images. So I was allowing 6 images, so we'll change this to 6. Up to 6 images. Each image can have a max upload size of 600 kilobytes. Again, image governance. Definitely take a look at my guides for that. You don't have to start off as strict as 600 kilobytes. I would recommend not going higher than a megabyte to start, and just listen to your users, listen to your audience, wait for complaints before just jumping to a high number. Because once you start with that high number and people are used to it, it's impossible. It's almost virtually impossible to go back the other way. You can always increase without, obviously without pushback, but decreasing, you just can't generally. For best results, gallery images should be at least 1920 by 1080 pixels. So that's high definition, full HD. We break a couple lines again. We say need to reduce your images, go to this website, upload your images, download your optimized images, and upload them here. So it gives a little bit of guidance on what to do there. And I apologize, that's not the placeholder, that's actually the description. So that goes into the description. We're not going to require the gallery field because, like I said, we've got that fallback cover image, so we don't want to force them to put a gallery in there if they don't want to. But if you want to, just to maintain the aesthetics, excuse me, of your website for in a certain way, yeah, by all means, toggle that on. The downside with doing that is that you could really risk having the ad listing abandoned. If they don't have 6 images to upload, they're gonna probably abandon their ad listing process, and who knows when they come back to it. So I probably would not do required there. Show and submit form, you want to leave that on so they can actually see this field. You want to leave this on so you can actually edit it in the back end for them should they request changes from you, and assuming you're providing that support for them. You do not want to show this in the comparison pop-up. So when somebody does a comparison of one listing to another using that feature, there's no value in showing images side by side, in my opinion, and there's a performance hit with doing that. So I usually like to keep listing comparisons down to information, really important information that's text-based. So amenities, maybe address, things that are really important that are text-based. Package visibility, this is really important stuff, and it confuses a lot of people. So let's say you only wanted to allow gallery images for people that pay for a certain package. You would turn this on. You want to change your listing package is equal to no package. It always is your very first one. No matter, anytime you use package visibility, always do this as the number one thing in there. The next one up is whatever other packages you want to be able to allow to have this field. Okay, so one example here is I like to use what in my starter sites to give people an idea of what to use. Like, it's called a bonus gallery. So I'll have like the regular gallery, which we say is like 3 images, and then that's free to everybody. That allows them to build out their cover image, right? So then you do a bonus gallery that says, okay, now I'm going to allow you 6 more images. Has nothing to do with your cover image. Then you adjust the description, obviously. I'm going to allow you now to have 6 images, but for that, I'm going to make you pay for this package. Okay, that's what that's for. So you could do. We've already added the gallery image field there. So if we're going to do a bonus gallery, we're going to need to do like the file field. So there's this file upload field under create a custom field. So we upload that, and we'll call this our bonus gallery. Okay, and then we're going to say you can upload JPEGs or PNG for now. You could copy part of this description, but obviously you don't need all of it. So the part about, obviously you want to adjust the number of images in there. So let's go back here. All right, your image gallery, blah, 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 blah. So that doesn't apply. So we're going to say your images should be high quality to make the best impression. We're not specifying anything with the cover image, so we take that out. We want the guidelines to stay in there. Upload up to, we'll say 12 images, and we'll change that in a second. Upload up to 12 images. Each image can blah, blah, blah. All that's fine. All that's fine. All that's fine. Okay, that's great. And so the only thing we need to do there now is we've said we're going to allow 12 images in our bonus gallery. So we're going to set this box to allow multiple files to be uploaded. And we're going to set the maximum to be 12 because that's what we're allowing here. We don't want this to be required. We want this to be in the submit form. We want this to be in the edit listing or the back end, which is where we are now. And we don't want to show this in the comparison. And we want our package visibility to be no package first, and then if they purchase a business subscription, for example. I'm going to go back to the gallery image field, and I'm going to take off package visibility. We want that to be available to everyone. Okay, let's go ahead and save our changes just so in case we lose power or whatever, something crashes, we don't lose that work. What else? Let's keep going top down here. I have a guide on how to do it, but I like to color the verified badge to match the branding of the website. Again, check out the guide on how to do that. It's really easy. That's where that comes from. The same, I have CSS that changes these stars. You can just use CSS to do that. This right here is the tagline. So for that, we need to add the tagline field. Another thing I want to mention too, I like doing, you can do whatever you want, but if you don't do this, you're going to have a box on the ad listing form. It's like just like a general heading box. So I like to create a form heading for this top section up here. You can call it something like details. And then what I do is I use a little bit of CSS to hide that general box. So what this allows you to do is not only name this whatever you want, but then you can get into doing your icons and the comparison pop-up. It gives you a heading for that now and things of that nature. So it just unlocks a little bit of stuff for you. So I always add that at the very top. And then of course we got our title, and then now we've added our tagline. For tagline, I like to drop in a placeholder. Give them example of something to type, and also it kind of gives them a little guidance for SEO. So this is an SEO optimized placeholder. And then in the description, we talk about SEO again, which is limiting the number of words to 68 or less. And it talks about other things about thinking about SEO with your tagline. And because we're saying 68 characters less, we want to leave the minimum length alone, but we want the max to be 68. And let me see if I can pull it up here, my other screen. I can. There is an add-on that I had developed called the single listing character counter. And what this does is when people are using this, the fields that have like a character count, it's going to show the user on the front end how many characters that they have left that they've used. So it helps them. It helps them on the front end a lot, and that really helps. It really helps prevent listing abandonment. I'm going to keep saying that. It's really important, but people get frustrated, like they don't know how many characters that they have if they don't have this add-on from the club, and they just can get frustrated and abandoned. But if you're showing them how many characters they have, how many they've got left, all that sort of thing, like that really helps keeping them on your site and trying to complete their listing. Okay, we don't want to force a tagline, so we're not going to require it. We want to show in the form, all that other stuff. We want to show in the form, we want to show in the back end. I don't think you need to show this in the comparison pop-up. Totally up to you there. I don't like to show that in there. It's just, it doesn't really give any valuable information, in my opinion, that compares one listing to another. Does the tagline really have vital information that separates them? The reason I like to get picky about the comparison pop-up is I like to keep the noise to a minimum, like really just show them the really super important things. Okay? Just my opinion, do what you want there. But that is the tagline. So next up, we've got price, and we've got a button on there. So let's go ahead and jump over to, we'll save this. go over to single page, and for that we have cover details, and we're just going to add we're going to add price, and we don't have a field for this yet, but that's where that comes from. So we'll go ahead and leave that there for now. And then for the calls to action, we're going to do a custom action here. So we click on this add custom action, and then you can change the icon. We're just going to call this, booking, hotel, book hotel, or whatever you want to call it there. And we're going to leave all this stuff alone there for now. And then we want to give them the ability to claim the listing. So we're going to do that. Click that on there. Okay, so that's where those two things come from. Up here, price, and this button. Next in line, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tabs here. So by default, we're still under single page. Content and tabs is where we need to be to replicate this right up here. So content and tabs. By default, we've got the profile one. So we want to change this, and you can set this to however you want. This is just more of a personal preference. I do definitely recommend checking on mobile devices and making sure that the order of your blocks, how the data is presented, is in the order that you want. I'm just going to go ahead and set 2 columns for now. I'm going to call this details, and then go back to all tabs. And you'll see here that I've got contact and media, weddings. These are related listing fields here. These next 2. I'm going to create the next one. It's called contact and media. Set that to 2 columns. The next one over, like I said, it was related listings, which we don't have right now. So we'll call it weddings and vendors, since this is a hotel. That makes sense. We want to hide the tab if there are no listings. Like I said, we don't have that related listings field. We're going to pretend like we do for the moment. Let's go back, and then what was the next one? Vendors. So we'll do the same thing. Okay, and then next up was reviews. So we drop that in there. We give it a name. And then last up is the store. So I'm using WooCommerce Product Vendors, and I have a guide in the club for how to set this up easily. It's super easy to do. For now, I'll just add the store, MyListing's default store option in there. I covered that in another video of this series if you want to learn about the simple products or whatever. Same thing, hide the tab, call this store to match this. And we'll leave that blank for now. We don't have that field in there. Let's go ahead and update. Okay, so we've got that. Next up is the quick actions. So for that, we're in single page, quick actions. If you do nothing here, it's going to add all of these by default are going to get added to there. As soon as you add just one of these, it's going to not add any of these others. So that's a decision you have to make there. What I did on these was I chose specific ones: website, get directions, call, review, bookmark, share, and report. So I added those specific ones because I didn't need all of these things in this particular project. But we'll pretend like for this we want all of these to be in there. One thing to note is this is custom, and this CSS is available on the MyListing Club website. It's basically it stripped out the labels of the quick action and instead just showed icons with tooltips. So I think that was a really cool feature in there. Really easy to implement. But yeah, so that is that. So if you were to add one of these, so get directions, and you click into it, you'll see it's got like a label. So this is what's being hidden with the code, the custom code that I have available on the club. Okay. that's what that is. Those are the quick actions. We're just going to go ahead and add all of them for the sake of this video. And then we are in the reviews tab. Let's go back over here. So that takes care of the quick actions. And then, so we've got our description field, which we've got to add. So description. So I like to go top down here in order. Title, tagline, description. Same thing in here. Put a placeholder. Or sorry, a description. So in this one I'm saying, kind of like tagline, I'm saying how many characters to use a minimum. This one we're using a minimum instead of a max, so we want a minimum in there. So we're going to put that in there. Minimum characters, 120. It defaults to using the WP editor, which gives more controls, but I do not like using that personally because that opens you up to being to listing owners dropping nefarious links into their site and taking them off your site, and directing people off of your site and that sort of thing. You just don't really have any control of that. The other piece of that is you have to use the text area feature in order to use that custom code that I told you about, the character counter that I had developed. You have to use the text area field for that to work. It does not work with the WP editor. Okay. We don't care about max length because it's a description. We want them to be able to really to describe their listing for SEO and whatnot. We want to require the description field, in my opinion. Obviously, we want to show it everywhere so people can edit it. I don't think you should have this in the comparison either. It could be a ton of information in the comparison pop up and make it look really, really just hard to follow. So I would untick that. Next up, we've got the amenities, and these are just, you can use, for the sake of this video, we'll just use tags. So that's what you could call amenities here. We'll drag those up in here. And I got into this in another video about taxonomies and whatnot, so we won't dive into that with this one. But in those videos, I go into all the differences of the way that you can select, the templates you can select, like how they're selected, why you might want to use one or another, and that sort of thing. Here, I would include these in the comparison pop-up. I would not make them required. Allow users to add items. That can be really dicey because, for obvious reasons, they can upload whatever they want. Somebody can get into your site and put all kinds of profanity or whatever, or like, what happens if you really like to have the first letter capitalized of your tags, and then the rest are lowercase, or you like all caps, but then if you don't use CSS, someone could jump in there and put all kinds of crazy, some uppercase, all uppercase, some all lowercase, some a mixed bag of all of it, and it just makes your site look, in my opinion, it looks weird. So totally up to you there, what you want to do. But yeah, you want to be able to keep saying it over and over again. You want to be able to show it on the front end and the back end so this can be edited, and show them in your pop-up, okay? I'm not going to go through every single field in here. I'm just going to go through the ones that present like the different selections of items in the back end. Services is the same thing. Same concept as tags. The venue details. So that's pulling from the category, another type of taxonomy, another field, and then the region. I'm not going to cover that in this video because I want to cover a different one in contact and media. It's a little more involved. So I'm going to show you that instead. And then this, of course, is the location field. So drop the location field in there. Again, we're still under the main details tab here. So we drop the location field in there. For this, Yeah, up to you what you want to do on the placeholder there. I'm trying to let me show you what I did on mine. I didn't put a place specific. I just put start typing address. For my description, it says will be displayed on the map and provide driving directions. This is a newer feature of MyListing and a long-awaited feature. How many locations do you want the listing owner to be able to add? So that's a really cool that we can now do more than one listing. Map skin, total preference here. If you're using Mapbox, which I like to use, so theme tools, map services, Mapbox, it gives you the option to create a custom map style to match your branding of your website. So if you happen to do that, you can actually choose that here as your map skin. Okay, so I typically do that for every starter site just to show people what that looks like. If I don't use a skin, I like to use the light version. The default map location, let's say if your website is all about a specific city, you can put in the coordinates of the city and it will just center right on that. So that's what these are. You put the latitude and longitude in there. And then the default zoom. So we put the latitude and longitude of our city in there. How far do you want people to zoom into that city or zoom out? So you adjust that to your liking, up or down. Okay. Depending on the type of website you're building, you might actually want to require this. And you also might want to require it just so that it populates your map if you're wanting to use maps. It just makes the listings look good, really good, or better. It makes your Explore pages look better if you're using the map, to get those people populating their site, making them populate the location field for their site, or listing, I should say. Same thing, show it on the front end, show it on the back end. This one might be good for the comparison just so they can quickly gauge the distance, but it just depends. I don't know. It's kind of iffy on that. If you're talking about a MyListing site for one city, I would say no. If you're like all across the country, then maybe this is good just so they can see a comparison of the address difference. Yeah. So something to think about there. Yeah, I think we're good on that one. So that covers that tab. This down here, you may also be interested in. That is coming from single page similar listings. So here you can specify whether you want to show it or not at all. So toggling that on or off will do that. And then you configure how you want those similar listings to display. Do they have to belong to the same listing type? Do they have to have one listing category in common? And so on and so forth. So a lot of options here. It's totally dependent on the website. So definitely take a look at that. So what's next? Let's jump over to the Contact and Media tab. This is what I want to cover. This is asked a lot in the various communities. So for that, let's jump over to our single page. Let's get into that Contact and Media tab. Let's add the table block, and then let's just put in contact information. Okay, we're going to add a row. I'm going to go ahead and pull mine up here on my other screen here so I get the correct order. Okay, so for this first row, we're going to do phone number. So we'll just type in phone number for the label. And we don't actually have a phone number to reference for the field. So let's jump back over to the fields. Let's add another form heading, custom form heading. Let's call this, we can call this contact information. Okay, so I've got that in there. Let's add our phone number field. And we're going to do the email too as well. So let's add our email and our website. So okay, so there we go. Phone number, email, and website. Okay. Before we jump back over there, let me see if there's anything I need to do here. For a placeholder, I usually do something like this. For a description, I do something like this. And it basically just says, has a bit of SEO information, how your phone number should be listed online consistently, like the same format, same number. And then this just says each listing has a click to call functionality, and that's where this phone number is going to be used. Show on the front end, show on the back end. Comparison pop-up, I don't think that's important information to compare. You're not going to choose another listing over another because of its phone number. At least I don't think so. I mean, especially if you're in a single city list website, you're just showing people around a specific city. Showing the phone number is not going to matter. Showing them across an entire country is not going to matter either. Maybe if it's an international number versus a not, but you're already kind of going to know that you will know that from the region or the location field. So I would say this is probably I wouldn't include that. Another reason maybe why you might want to is if you were doing some sort of like a printout or something to where you just had that quick reference sheet. Something to keep in mind there. Content lock, what that means is it's basically going to keep help with bots. So the person has to click on that field to reveal it before it just displays the information. And then package visibility, we already went over that, so you can decide if that is useful there or not. All right, contact email. This is a good one. I use this for the placeholder, and then I use this description. And basically what this description says is this field is not required. It's only required if you want people to send. So when they inquire about your listing, you go to your listing, there's a contact form field. When they fill that out, if they do not use this field, assuming you are following my guide for replacing contact form 7 with Elementor Pro forms, which I highly recommend you do, if you are using that method, this field isn't needed. So if they don't fill this in, it's just going to go to them automatically based on the email they use to sign up for your website. Really cool stuff. What this field does and instructs them to do is only use this if you want to send this to email addresses that are not what you used to sign up with. So let's say you, the business owner, you signed up to add listings to this website. You paid your money with your business credit card, that sort of thing. But now you want people from your team to be able to get notifications if your listing is inquired about. That's what this would be for. You could use like an email distribution list or like a virtual assistant's email address or whatever. You see what I mean there? That's what that would be for. So you don't want to make this required. You want to show it in the front end and in the back end. And again, it's kind of like phone number. I don't think it really matters to show this in a comparison pop-up. Again, you want that comparison pop-up to be only the really, really unique, important stuff that separates one listing from another. Okay? Same with content lock. You have to click on that lock to reveal the email address. Okay. What do we have next? Next up, we have the website. This is a good one. All right. So I like to put in actually I messed this up. So I don't use the website field. I use a custom text field. So I use a custom text field. I type in website. For the key, I like to use something like, you could use just website custom. For this video, we'll do that. But if you have multiple listing types, you'll want to change that key to, you could just add that type of listing type before the word website custom. So LT, whatever that is, dash dash that. Okay, so we'll just use website custom. We'll assume that we're just going to have one listing type for this website. And then for the placeholder, I put in something like this. And then for the description, I put in instructions that say, do not put in the HTTP:/ or HTTPS://. Don't put that in. We will do that automatically. So just give me the text. We will do the rest. It's a really important piece there. Don't make that required. I typically don't make that required. Up to you. Show it on the front end. Show it on the back end. Again, same as phone number, email. I don't think it needs to be in the comparison, pop-up. And then determine package visibility based on your business model. Okay, so that's that. Let's go ahead and save our changes. Let's go back to our single page content and tabs, content and media. Let's go to that content information table. We are now adding our phone number to this. Okay, so for this, we want to make this clickable. To do that, you use this code. I will pause here in case people want to look at that for a second. I will also include this in the guide, the written guide, Build an Online Business with the MyListing WordPress theme. So you can have this information, you can copy and paste it for yourself. Okay, but that's what we're saying here is we're calling that short code, which is that field. So the field was actually named phone number. Okay, so let's go and edit. Whatever you call that there is what you've got to call up here in this form. So you do the two brackets and then type in P, and then you'll see that field come up, and then you just select it. Make sure you only have that set of two brackets there, so it looks like that. Okay, I don't know why that's not coming up there. Should be coming up. It's a little funky how this thing works. I'm not gonna lie. So let's do that. Let's type this in. Okay, that looks fine. So that's how that would go. And when this lights up red here, that's how you know it's That's how you know it's calling the right field. So let's add a new row. Let's do our email. So email. I'm going to fly through this. Again, I'm going to make all this available to you to copy and paste. We drop that in. We see that it lights up red, so it's good. If this were not correct, let me show you. You see how it dropped off? It's no longer red. That means something's broken. Okay? You want both of those to light up red, or whatever color that is there. Okay, moving on down. We add our website. And for this one, what's important to show you is that what we're doing is we are prepending HTTPS://. So that way we're always ensuring that it's going to the secure link of the external website. Okay. We see that it's not lit up red, so it's incorrect. So we got to fix that. We just need to take off this part. Okay. That lit up red, so we're good. So we know we've got one more to fix. There we go. So that is all set. Okay, what else do we have here? Social presence. We are still in the contact and media. That's just as simple as dropping in the social networks box. I use custom CSS to make it look like this. It's all available on the club website. This is our contact form from Elementor Pro, and to do that we drop in the contact form, and it's going to want a short code. By default it's looking for contact form 7, but if you've created your template with Elementor Pro for your form, once you create that form, it's going to give you a short code, and this is all in my guide, so you don't have to remember this or refer to the video, but you're just going to copy that short code that it gives you for the guide template, And actually, sorry, you don't want to use the contact form field. That is for the actual contact form 7. You want to use the short code block. Okay, and all you have to do is drop in that short code and call this contact form. Change the icon if you want, that sort of thing. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Follow that guide, drop that block in, and you're good. Obviously, you have to design your contact form template. So that does that part. These are just 2 galleries. These are the galleries that we created. So over here on the right-hand side, we're going to add a gallery and a gallery. So let's drop those to the right. For this first one, we're going to choose our gallery. That's cool. And then the next one down, we're going to choose our bonus gallery. So that's going to get both of our galleries in there. Okay. And you can, I'm not going to go over every little thing here, like the icons and whatever. You get the idea. You can choose the type of gallery, that grid view, carousel with big image, carousel, whatever you want there. Okay. Down here, I've got a YouTube video. And for that, you can use the video, where's it at? The video block. Drop that in there. Specify your video field. Let's go ahead and do that. Again, we're still in the we're in the media at this point, so we're going to drop in video URL. Not required. Show in the front end, show in the back end. I don't think we need to show that in a comparison pop-up. If you want to use package visibility, you can do that. But right now, we just want that video field in there, so we can choose it over here. There we go. So that's chosen. We're good. Moving on. The next tab, this is a related listings tab, like I said. So this is another listing type. So once you have that listing type set up, you can jump over here into this other tab, which is a related listings tab, weddings, we'll call it. Once you create that listing type, you would then go into your fields. Where did I add this? Sorry, here. Yeah. So we'll just drop it in. We'll drop it in here at the top, just under regular details for now. So related listing, we'll drop that up here at the top, and then we'll choose our listing type in here. So because we want to show weddings, in this particular case, our listing types are gym and coach. So gym, coach, and hotel, right? So I'll go ahead and just rename this. To gym, and we'll rename this one to coach. Okay, so now we've got those tabs changed. Now we want to relate our listings for hotels to gyms. Okay, by default, it's just going to relate to that related listing field. So we need to name it so it means something. So related listing field, we'll call this gym, just so it's easily identifiable. Okay, so this listing type relates to gyms. So we want to check that box. Now, how does a gym and a hotel relate to each other? A gym or a hotel will have gyms. A gym will not have a hotel inside of it. It's the other way around, right? So people go to a hotel and there's a gym in there. So that's how they relate. So a hotel does not belong to a gym. It has one. Or if the hotel has a few different gyms in it, then it can have many. Okay, so that's how that works. We're just going to say it has one. This hotel has one gym. Okay, by default, it's only going to show the listings that belong to the author. So if you own the listing for the hotel and you own the listing for the gym, those are going to match up and they're going to show. If they don't, if the gym is owned by somebody else and you own the hotel, it's not going to show. For that to work, you need to check this on. All listings that belong to any author, that opens that up. Okay? And then here you want to choose the different state that the listing is in. I don't know why you'd want to do anything other than published, but maybe I'm missing something there. But so that's typically fine. We don't want to require this. We want to show it on the front. We want to show it on the back end. We don't want to show this in listing comparison. And totally up to you if you want to upcharge with package visibility. Okay, so then we would do the same thing and create another related listing. And this time it's for coaches, whatever. Just call it coach. How does a hotel relate to a coach? Okay, a hotel is going to have coaches on staff for their gyms, or maybe a business coach that works in the business office. A coach isn't going to necessarily have a hotel. Like, it's not realistic. So same thing. We're in a hotel. How do we relate to a coach? We don't belong to any coaches. We have many coaches, most likely. We're going to have a lot of coaches. Or maybe we just have one. So we're going to say we just have one coach on staff. And then all the other stuff I already explained. So that's how you would do that. Now, if we go to single page, content and tabs, and those related tabs, click into gyms, we now see that word is in there. So it's easily identifiable. If we go to coach, we want to change that to coach. Okay. Coaches related listing tab is coach. Gym related listing tabs applies to gyms. Okay. That's going to knock down this tab and this tab. And then the reviews. I think we already covered that, and we did. So that's this reviews tab. And then the store, we covered that as well. Okay, I think that is about it there. Those. Let me think if there's anything else that I really need to show you here. Like I said, in the other video, one of the other videos, I talked about products. It's kind of a lighter version of having a multi-vendor store. So check that out. How I built this particular starter site is with WooCommerce product vendors. Again, I have a guide on that. So check that out. And so I won't go into that. What else in the fields? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to show you. We could talk for a while on general repeater. That's a newer feature of MyListing. Basically, this unlocks on the front end the ability for a listing owner to add like repeatable information. So like maybe you could do like a Q&A or frequently asked questions, or whatever you want to do, like a menu system, that type of thing. So that's what that would be for. I will do a guide and a video on that later. But that's a really cool field that they added recently. You could also do a restaurant menu. That's kind of like the general repeater. It's just a little bit different. I haven't dove in to put both of these to the test to see what exactly is different. So I'll have to dive in there. I'll do a video and a guide on that probably here soon. But that's what that is for. All right, I think that is good for now on that. Let's jump back over to single page. So we are using, like I said, we want to use the gallery. So we want to set our cover style to gallery. That's going to give us those 3 photos across the top. For our cover details, we already covered that. But we need to attach our field. So price here has no field to attach to. Okay, so we need to go back to our fields. You got to figure out how you want to add the price. You know, is it a range? Is it a number? Yeah, it just really depends. Let me see. I did a price range for mine. So let's do, and by mine, I mean the starter site. So let's add a price range. We'll put that here up in the top section here, price range, and then just a description. Choose the price range that best represents the cost of goods or services you're selling, etc., etc. Do you want to require it? We want to show it in the front end and the back end. This is an awesome one for comparison. This is one that I think is one of the most important for comparisons. So definitely take that on. If you want to add more values here, you can do that. We'll add a more expensive one. Save our options. So that's how that is done. We go back to single page, content and tabs. Cover details, price. Now we've got our price range fields automatically selected for us. Moving on down, book your hotel. This would be if you added another, like a website field. So like we've done here with this custom field, what I did for that was added another text field. And we'll just put it right under here just for the purposes of this video. And just repeat the same stuff that's in here, but you want to name it, like booking. That sort of thing. And then for the key, you could use what is this? It's the hotel. You could call it hotel. It's easiest just to put the name of the listing type in front of it. So hotel booking. Okay. We'll go back to that single page content and cover details, our book hotel call to action, and we want to do the links too. So if you just start typing like the short code, like bracket left, then you can find your field in there. So there it is. Okay, but that's not going to do anything. That's just going to pull up the text. So you got to use the same method as we used for the website over here. So single page, content and tabs, content and media, or contact information table, edit the website. We're just going to use the same code. Okay, but instead of website custom, we want to use our booking. Okay, just like that, and let's do that again here. There we go. So now what's going to happen is we throw a calendar icon on here. So now what's going to happen when they click that link, what this is going to do, just like that website field, it's going to populate pre-pinned https:// whatever they type in as their hotel booking link. So just like we did for website, we want to put in a placeholder. That's something like this. bookme.com, right? So what that's going to do here in this field, or this cover detail, it's going to say https:// it's going to pull in that field, which is bookme.com. So it's going to put in that full thing in there. And we want to open that in a new tab. You always want to open external websites, meaning websites that are not part of your business, in a new tab, okay? And then the tracking piece here, that's really cool for analytics. So listing owners can see how many clicks that this button is getting on their website, on their listing from your website. And then the claim listing is what it is. It adds the ability for a quick call to action button on the cover for them to be able to claim the listing. Okay. What else here? So that's cover details. Quick actions, we covered that already. Content and tabs, we've covered that already. Some of our listings, we've covered that. Okay, let's get into the preview card. And this area is just mainly, how do you want your preview cards to look? There's a couple different templates. And then MyListing gives you a nice little preview of what these look like. Let me show you some different examples. On this starter site, just to show people a different look, I used the list view. So this is the list view. Okay, that card look right there. And then the alternate look, you see that quite a bit with the logo in the middle. And then, of course, the default. which is the logo to the left, and then like the big cover image. So totally up to you. You play with what you want to do there. And then because we are using the gallery as our cover, we want to set, I like to set the background as the cover there. So if we look at this actual starter site we're mimicking, I've added a little custom CSS to this, but let's look at the Explore page. So here's that card. I'm not displaying logos, but this is the gallery image. This is our category, then our price range that we showed you already. Our title. This is that custom badge color, and so on and so forth. This is the gallery that we just configured right here. Okay, and then the head buttons. That's the price thing that I just showed you. Let me pull that up here. So for this website we're mimicking, I use the default, like I said here, default, and then gallery. For the head buttons, I put in, I use the shortcode for gallery, so bracket, and then category. Oh, I guess I didn't add category yet to this listing type. Let's look at that. Yeah, I covered this in another video, but let's go ahead and look at that real quick. So under listings, categories, we've got a couple here. Let's go ahead and go back to our fields. Let's add a category. One thing I wish would be fixed is you could drag the screen and your field at the same time. So drag up the field. Anyway, not a huge deal. Again, in another video, I go into the taxonomy, so I'm not going to do that here. I just want to add the category field. Let's go back to our preview card. I'm going to call that category field. So bracket left, and then type in category. So now we're going to call that, and we see that here. It's populating on our preview card. I added another one, and this one was the price range. So bracket, price. There we go. So now we see both of those up there, and that's going to give you this look. All right. Next up, I chose the terms in the footer section. So we're going to place something down here. Looking in the preview card, it shows that nothing is selected. So I chose the terms block, and then what did I do here? I chose regions. And then I chose all three of these here. Okay, so that's going to give you this look right here. That's this look. So this is the quick view. It's just going to pop open the quick view. This is if you want to favorite it, bookmark it, and then this is the add to comparison. You click that, and then you click it on another listing, and then this is, I added this custom CSS myself. Again, all available on the club. But now when you click the compare items, you see you just want the most important information showing. And now you see why, if you include the description in there, it's too much. Okay, so let's go back to our description field. And that actually might be a bug that we just discovered live on air. That should not be in there. Oh, my fault. This is the wrong site. Yeah, this is the wrong site. I should actually go back to the starter site and take that off. But anyway, you get the point. You really wanted to show the most important information, the price range. You know, are they a diverse company? What's the seating capacity? Is it indoor, outdoor seating? Just the most important details. Like I wouldn't even show the phone number or the email address. The only reason I might do that is if you want to be able to print a sheet, like I said, a quick reference sheet. Okay. So that is that. You've got other options here of how you can configure each of the sections of your card. It's just up to personal taste. Quick view, same thing. You've got a couple options here for the templates. Totally up to you there. You get that same option for a map skin. If you did a custom one in Mapbox, you could select that here. the taxonomies that you want to show in the card, the taxonomy labels that you want to show. Let me quickly show you this again. So this is how I built mine out. Just really clean look. Okay, so I think that covers that. All right, search forms. For this, we're going to need the Explore page. And we don't actually, I don't think we actually need to view that on the back end. It looks like that on the front end. So if we do nothing for this, we see we've got order by. That's coming from this right here. So search forms, advanced forms, active filters, order by. Okay, you can change the wording of that, do whatever. Typically that just stays as is. If you do nothing though, we see that appears and our options are by default latest and then top rated and random. And then that comes from this listing order here. Latest, top rated, and random. You can edit these, adjust them further. You can create a custom order. You can add some of these other orders over here. It just depends because each business is different. If you're trying to showcase local businesses in your area, you know, the nearby listings might be the top priority. That sort of thing. Just got to fine tune how you want that to be. What else is on here by default? So we've got the order by and we've got the categories. That's in there by default. That is coming from the Explore tabs. So you can take them all out. You can add whatever you want in there, but that's where that's coming from. So now if I now add, so let's just update this, refresh. We shouldn't have any tabs in there. Maybe MyListing forces that in there. You could hide that with some CSS really easily if that's a problem, but let's go back to our Explore tabs. We'll do filters and let's add regions to this. Those are not coming in. So let me create a listing for us here. I'm going to do a hotel listing here. Hotel. Let me just get those categories in here. So I'll get a category in there. Parent category 1. Yeah, that's fine. Publish. Refresh our Explore page. There we go. So we've got that category in there. We've got our filters. We don't even have the regions field, so that's why that was doing that. If we quickly add that, let's add the region field. Let's update our listing so we can put a region in there. Okay, now when we refresh this Explorer page, we should see a regions tab show up. And it did not. It did not show up, so let's change it from account to name, hide empty items. We'll just, for the purposes of this video, let's untoggle that. Fresh. That should be in there. That's why. Our global listing type was chosen. So if I go back and put hotel in here. Okay, so hotel's in there. Let's go back. Okay, so now we've got all of our stuff in there. Let's go back and look. Let's see if I remove all of these. I think they should all go away now. No, looks like it still forces categories to be in there. Okay, no worries. But anyway, you see how to set that up. A lot of flexibility there in the Explore tabs. You can do some stuff in there. What else? The advanced form. So we've got order by. So now we want to put some other stuff in here. So if you look at this Explore page, for example, there's quite a bit in here. This is pulling from the listing type, obviously. This next one down is category, and then this is the region. So if we drop in, do the drop down and we choose the region field, I like to do ascending and then by name. And this is totally dependent on your site too and your preference, but you can allow them to choose multiple options. And if you want to hide empty options too, empty terms, that's typically a good idea to do because you don't want something to display that's not going to return any value for somebody. So there we go. We created our drop-down field for region. So now if they select that, there's our drop-down. And then what you do is you just build out your form, all the ways you want people to search. If you want them to be able to search by location, you drop that in, and then you need to put the proximity right below it. Okay, so let's do that. So they can enter an address here, and then that proximity field must be below that. Okay, something to keep in mind there. And then within the proximity, you can choose, whether it's miles or kilometers, wherever you're located. Every time they move the slider, how far does it step up? Is it 1? Is it 10 miles? Is it 50 miles? What's the maximum they can go up to? Is it 500 miles or is it 1,000 miles? What's the default value that the little slider is at here? So if we set that to 100 by default, there we go. So by default, the proximity is 100 miles. And then if we step up, we slide to the right, we see that it's going to change to 50 in the 50-mile increments. Okay, so that's what that's for. All right, so we talked about region. Region has, just a quick note, region has nothing to do with the map. It's only the location field. Some people get confused about that. So we've got location, we've got proximity. If someone wants to type just a general search in there, they can do that. Type in search. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it searches through a number of things. Not everything, but a good number of things. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to find that somewhere, but it's good for most things. Like you can just free search anything in here. I think the general rule is as long as it's a text-based field, it's going to come back. I might stand to be corrected on that, but I think that's basically the gist of it. What else? We got the search, the range. If you want to set up like a price range, that's a cool way to do it. You can do like check boxes. So you can do a range slider. So that gives you like the sliding scale. You could also do it via checkbox. So choose the price range field, and then it's going to give you those options of like the dollar signs to choose from. That's another option. There's lots of ways to present this stuff and let people search and filter on stuff. You just got to find what works for you. Do people need to be able to search based on a related listing? Do you want to break up your form a little bit? So like a UI heading here, we could do location. So let's just put stuff that has to do with location in here. Okay, so we're just kind of breaking up our form a little bit here. So here's our region drop down, our location. Kind of nice to do that sometimes. What else? What else? Reoccurring date checkboxes. Yeah, I think that's about all I need to cover on that. Open now, that's a cool one. So if you're a restaurant and you use the restaurant listing type, or a store or whatever of any kind, and you use the work hours field. So let's say that you are currently open and someone's on the search form here. Sorry, bouncing around quite a bit. Then the open now is going to filter by those stores that are currently open. So that's a really cool thing. The basic form. This is what you see on a lot of MyListing websites on the homepage. So here's an example of that. So this is the basic search right here, and that's what you are configuring in here. So for this one, we're doing the region on the far left, and then we're doing the category next. So to build that, that's region. So you choose the region field, and then the next one over to the right is is another drop down, and it's category. So that's how that was built. Okay. And then of course the search button, and then and this can be listing type dependent. So when they switch to the other listing type, if you had it built differently for another listing type, then that would show here dynamically. So really cool stuff. That's how that's built. What else? Listing order we covered, and Explore tabs we covered. Okay, guys, I think that is about it. That's the big daddy. That's where a lot of the work is what we've been building up to was doing that. Let me look through my notes really quick here in the project template and make sure I didn't miss anything super important. Nope, I think I got it all. Yeah, good stuff, guys. That was a long video. I hope you're still with me and you made it through. Yeah, I think that's it. I've done enough rambling. I hope you found this useful, and please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. That really helps me out, helps me keep doing these videos. Yeah, and so that way you know when the next one comes out or any other videos come out. All right, guys, hope all is well, and talk to you later. See ya.